I found out about my husband's betrayal with my sister at a family holiday. Hello, Reddit. I can hardly believe I'm actually writing this. I guess despair is overwhelming me, and I just need to let it out somewhere instead of keeping it bottled up. I always thought I had a wonderful life, a successful job, a cozy home set up exactly how I'd always dreamed, and of course, my husband, Tom. We've been together for 10 years, and our marriage was something I always considered the greatest treasure of my life. Tom was the person I could talk to about anything, even my boldest dreams. And then there's Lisa, my sister, who has always been my closest friend, my other half. A few months ago, my life changed. Starting in September, I noticed that Tom became, well, distant. At first, I attributed it to work. He'd been promoted in September, which meant he started spending more time at the office. "This is for us, for our family, Anna," he'd say when I complained that he was rarely home. He seemed tense, tired, and I convinced myself that it was just a transitional period. But then came the strange calls and late-night text messages. My sister Lisa, who often stood by me and supported me in times like this, always assured me it was normal, that men could have their secrets, as long as they don't cross the line, and I trusted her like I trusted myself. We grew up together, we supported each other through the toughest times, and I could never imagine that she would do anything to hurt me. I believed so completely that she was always on my side that I didn't even allow myself to think otherwise. Then Christmas came. We celebrated at my mom's place, just like every year. It was our traditional family holiday, with everyone gathering, my husband Tom, my sister Lisa with her new boyfriend, our parents, and sometimes a few close friends. That day was supposed to be perfect, but something felt off. Around 9 in the evening, I noticed Lisa slip out of the room with her phone. In the hallway, she started speaking quietly, as if afraid someone might overhear. Her words were indistinct, but her laughter and the way she softly said, "Yes, I miss you too," those words hit me like a punch. Something inside me snapped. I couldn't even understand why it hurt me so much. But in that moment, all my trust and faith wavered. I couldn't enjoy the holiday anymore that night. I kept a smile on my face, but anxiety began to grow in my heart. I couldn't sleep that night. Lying in bed, I kept thinking about every little thing, every subtle hint that something more than just family ties might be happening between Lisa and Tom. That night, I lost my peace. For the first time in a long time, I felt utterly alone, surrounded by doubts and fears. It's hard to describe how painful it is to stand before a holiday table, looking at the smiling faces of loved ones, yet feeling as if the people closest to you have suddenly become strangers. I was afraid of the truth. Sometimes I felt that even if I found out it was all in my head, it wouldn't make things any easier. But even more, I feared learning that it wasn't just a suspicion, that my husband, whom I trusted, and my sister, whom I loved, had betrayed me when I wasn't looking. Has anyone here gone through something like this? That sudden feeling that everyone you love is betraying you? I hope not, because it's incredibly hard to face this alone. Reddit user comments Broken Dreams 99. This is awful. I can only imagine how hard it must be. I've gone through something similar, but not with people as close. Stay strong, we're here for you. Trust issues _87. I can't understand how a sister could do something like that. I hope you find the answers you're looking for. The people you trust should be honest with you. Heartbroken Mom. My story is similar to yours. My ex-husband cheated on me with my childhood friend. It was a blow that I'm still recovering from. Keep writing to us, you're not alone. Silverlining 33. It's brave of you to write about this. I hope you find the strength to move forward, no matter what lies ahead. We're here to support you. After Christmas, I just couldn't go back to normal life. What should have been a joyful family holiday left me only with emptiness and indescribable pain. In the days that followed, I felt as if I was living in a fog. I watched Tom and Lisa, looking for even the slightest hint of the truth. Every interaction between them irritated me, every glance seemed to carry some dark subtext. On January 5th, I finally dared to check Tom's phone. But he always kept it with him, never leaving it unattended, not even when he was in the shower. I realized I was trapped in my own suspicions. I couldn't ignore how Lisa started coming over more frequently, even without any notice. On January 12th, when I returned home after a long day at work, I found Lisa in our kitchen with Tom, laughing and talking cheerfully. When I entered, they both went a bit quiet, and Lisa just smiled and said, "Oh, I just stopped by for coffee." Everything seemed perfectly innocent, but I couldn't shake the terrible feeling that this was much more than just coffee. Since then, I began treating even my sister with suspicion. For the first time in my life, I felt like I couldn't trust her. My life wasn't exactly smooth before this. This year, I lost my previous job, and now I worked in a position I didn't enjoy just to support my family. Every day, I'd come home exhausted and drained, and now I was also haunted by these doubts. I remember one particular night, January 18th. It was an ordinary evening, and Tom was already in bed, looking at something on his phone. I lay next to him, mentally replaying all these events, trying to find an explanation. My eyes drifted to his phone as he received a message. I caught a glimpse of him nervously tapping the screen and immediately turning it off. When I asked who it was, he just mumbled something about work and turned to face the wall. That moment struck me like lightning. Could it be Lisa? Could my own sister, with whom I shared every secret since childhood, now be hiding this from me? Then, I decided to act. On the morning of January 20th, I stayed home, pretending to be sick. When Tom left for work, I began checking everything I could. I went through his things, checked his computer, even dug into old papers and documents stored on our shelf. I hated myself for this, but I hated the despair and uncertainty even more. I felt that this investigation might be the final step that would shatter me completely. But knowing this, I still couldn't stop. Was this worth all my trust? How was I supposed to continue living when I was losing faith in the people who seemed to be my world? I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. Every night, I was plagued by the same thoughts, the same pain. Had I imagined it all? Or had I truly fallen into a nightmare with no easy escape? Reddit user comments Invisible Hand 73, I understand what it's like to suspect those closest to you and to feel that inner fear eating you alive. It's hard not knowing the truth and torturing yourself with doubts. Hang in there. Hopeful Heart 4, it seems you're almost at your limit. Maybe try talking to Tom directly? Sometimes, facing the truth, even if it's painful, can help. Lost in trust issues, it's truly terrifying when people you've trusted your whole life suddenly make you feel this way. I can't imagine your pain. I hope you find a way to get through this. After the Storm 88, I went through something similar when I found out my best friend was dating my husband. It's hard to admit, but sometimes we have to face the truth. Don't wait too long, find a way to learn the truth. A month has passed since Christmas, but my fear and distrust have only grown. Every day, I wake up feeling a heavy weight pressing down on me, as if the burden of my suspicions is literally suffocating me. At times, I even start to question my own sanity. Am I being overly dramatic? But every new clue, every small sign, made me feel that something was indeed wrong. I remember accidentally overhearing Tom's conversation on February 5th. It was evening, and we seemed to have returned to our usual routine. He usually came home for dinner, we'd discuss our day, and watch the news at 8. But that night, he suddenly left the room, taking his phone with him. Work, he muttered, but this time, I decided to follow him. Standing by the door of our kitchen, I heard him reassuring someone that no one would find out about this. Panic washed over me. This? What is he hiding? At that moment, I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. That same evening, I called Lisa and suggested we meet the following Saturday, February 10th, at our favorite cafe. I didn't tell her I planned to ask her directly about what had been troubling me. We met at the Sunset Cafe, where we always ordered the same tea and pastries. But this time, the conversation was far from simple. When I started hinting at my suspicions, Lisa looked unsettled. She nervously tilted her cup, glancing at me as if she were afraid of something. I couldn't stand it any longer and asked directly, "Tell me the truth, Lisa. Are you involved with Tom?" At first, she laughed, trying to brush it off as a ridiculous idea. But the more I pressed, the more uneasy she became. Finally, she caught herself, took a deep breath, and said, "You don't understand, Anna. It's not that simple." For several minutes, I tried to get more out of her, but her behavior was increasingly odd. Her eyes were filled with a mixture of shame and fear. She didn't confess outright, but I felt a silent admission in her eyes. My heart was breaking, and that conversation only strengthened my suspicions. Later that same day, I tried talking to Tom again. We sat in the kitchen, where every little sound seemed to amplify my tension. I tried to hold myself together, telling him how much it hurt to live in such uncertainty, that I couldn't bear a life without trust in those I loved. His response was cold and dismissive. He waved me off, saying I was imagining things. I had never felt so humiliated and crushed. Instead of understanding and support, I saw before me a stranger who, perhaps, had already been living his own separate life for a long time. That night, I returned to our bedroom and stared at the framed photos on the wall for a long time. There were pictures from our wedding, our travels, birthdays, and other cherished moments. And suddenly, a strange thought struck me. Who are you now, Tom? And who, really, is my sister? A new wave of fear washed over me, the feeling that all these years I had been just a shadow in their lives, someone easily deceived. I was overwhelmed with a mix of anger and helplessness, not knowing what to do next. I wanted to abandon everything, to run far away, somewhere free from these constant doubts and this unrelenting pain. I was tormented by the dilemma: how to continue living with a person who is likely betraying me, and with someone as close to me as my own sister. Reddit user comments Reality Check 44, "I can't imagine what I'd do in your place. This is incredibly difficult, but living in constant doubt could destroy you. Just be free." 97 This sounds so painful. Seeing your loved ones act so coldly is truly frightening. I hope you find the strength for yourself and don't lose faith in who you are. Broken Soul 23 Reading your story, I think about how often we refuse to see the truth even when it's staring us in the face. Sometimes, we just have to close those doors and find a new path. Heart in Shadows, you're strong for having the courage to ask these questions and face the truth. Not everyone has the strength to look at what's breaking them down. The past few weeks have turned into a dark haze. I've become a completely different person, as if I'm living in someone else's body, one filled with pain and emptiness. My suspicions have grown into an unyielding thirst for the truth. There was no doubt left. I would either find the answers, or this state would destroy me. Last week, on February 17th, Tom told me he was going on a business trip for the weekend. His words sounded routine, but there was something about his gaze that seemed too tense. I decided to go all in. All day, I watched him, knowing this was my last chance to uncover the truth. I saw him pack his suitcase and leave home at 3:30 p.m. I tried calling him, but all my calls went unanswered. This only solidified my suspicions. The next morning, February 18th, I went to Lisa's place. I arrived around 9 in the morning, hoping to catch her at home. When I got there, the door was locked, but the lights were on inside. The thought immediately flashed in my mind: if it's not Tom with her, then I'm just going crazy. I decided to wait in my car. An hour passed like a minute, then another, and finally, around 10:45, I saw the door open, and out walked Tom. He glanced around quickly, as if making sure no one was watching, then headed to his car. My legs gave way beneath me. In that moment, I was faced with the undeniable truth I'd been avoiding all this time. I entered Lisa's apartment without waiting for her invitation. She stood there, as if caught red-handed, her face trying to feign innocence. "Why?" was all I could manage to say. My words came out broken, my heart pounded, and tears filled my eyes. And then she began to speak, quietly, as if she couldn't look me in the eye. She confessed that she and Tom had been seeing each other for months. She tried to justify it, saying she couldn't stop these feelings, that somehow she'd found something in him she'd never seen in anyone else. I didn't hear her words. Before my eyes were all those moments in our lives when she'd been by my side, when I shared my dreams with her, when I trusted her as a sister. Was it all a lie? Had she only been close to me so she could one day betray me in such a way? I left her apartment without listening to any more of her excuses. When I got home, I gathered Tom's belongings and threw them out the door. I didn't need any more proof, words were unnecessary. For the first time in all these months, I felt a calmness, bitter but liberating. Now, I knew the truth. As I write this here, it feels like my life has become a shattered book, with each chapter written in pain and disappointment. But even after all of this, I know I can rebuild myself. I've lost two of the closest people to me, but maybe this loss will allow me to start anew, a life without lies, without betrayal. Reddit user comments Brave New Life 2022. What you went through is a true nightmare. Stay strong. You deserve so much better, and life will bring that to you. Loyalty is rare. This story goes straight to the soul. Family should be the foundation that always supports you, not breaks you down. You're truly strong to have survived such a blow. Moving on. 11. Cutting ties with those who betrayed you is the best thing you could have done for yourself. There's a new life ahead of you, and you'll find it. Redemption Path. Thank you for sharing your story. It's important for so many people here who may be going through something similar. You're not alone, we're with you.